What's up, Anchor Peeps? Anchor Pete here, and I'm with my good friend Brian. Boy, this is kind of scary. I'm in my garage, which is scary to begin with. But besides it, yes. But Brian, I want to thank you, man, because this is actually my first live show that I've ever done with another person.
Awesome. I'm glad to be the first.
Dude, yeah. So I'm pretty excited. We are here because of a very special event. We are here to talk about WANDAVISION Episode 5. Now, if you guys go over to my YouTube channel, Anchor Pete, Brian and I have discussed the first 3 episodes of WandaVision. And so for today, we could talk a little bit about 4 and then go right into 5. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Okay, cool, man. So guess what, guys? We're going to just hit you with spoilers. So if you don't want WandaVision spoiled, then don't watch this video, okay? Just watch it on Disney Plus and come back and, join us. So, Brian, I kind of can't help it, man. I have to get to the big thing. You want to get to the big thing?
Well, first, I just want to say that we had originally planned to cover episodes 3 through 6, but so much craziness has happened that we had to just jump in and do it now.
Yes.
While it's super relevant.
Yes. And if you go on YouTube right now, it's just WandaVision,
So we got all over Twitter. You just see episode 5. Just I'm maybe some people think that that's Star Wars, but nope, it's WandaVision.
Yeah. And then here we go. Spoilers. The thing that spoiled it for me was I saw X-Men was trending. And I'm like, oh, cool, X-Men's trending. Maybe they have the results from that poll that went up. Nope, it's not that. It's because the X-Men are in the MCU now. So
yeah. So, well, okay, let's take that back a second. So
okay, go ahead.
There's someone I follow that's actually a Transformers personality kind of person. But he made a very big point in his settings that sometimes a meta reference is just a meta reference, and don't believe, don't just jump into this whole big thing and assume this grand thing that just happened, because it may not be exactly what we want to think it is.
Right.
It was really cool, and it was also a spoiler for me too, so I had to watch it during my lunch break today. I actually saw the character name in a headline of an article somewhere, so I don't remember where it was, but. It honestly, it didn't really change the effect that it had on me.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah. See, yeah. I mean, that's the problem, right? Because I kind of put 2 and 2 together. It said X-Men are in there, and then in the beginning of the episode, she says, "I do have a brother" to her kids, right?
Yes.
And I knew that they were talking about how that actor that plays spoilers plays Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, that he was potentially going to be in this, right?
Yes.
And also, they also talked about how, she said that this cameo was going to be the equivalent of, Luke's cameo in,
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess spoilers for that, too.
Oops. Okay, that's like a month ago. If you haven't seen that by now, if you haven't seen the most pirated TV show on the planet right now, a month later, then,
yeah,
that's your fault.
Yeah. Shame on you. So, Quicksilver's in it. Spoilers, sorry, guys. And he shows up. They show the back of his head at first, and they made his hair look very much like the Quicksilver that's in Age of Ultron.
I was just going to point that out because it looks much more like is it Aaron Johnson?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks much more like that Quicksilver's hairstyle than his version from the Fox movies.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought it might be him at the end and a little fake out, but I'm really glad that they didn't do that. In this episode, they had basically 2 very big reveals. Reveal number 1 was that they've always thought that Wanda can kind of manipulate people's minds, like she does in Age of Ultron, right? Because you know how she manipulates Tony Stark's mind and other people, all most of the Avengers. But then they say, well, she can actually rewrite reality, right? And on Twitter a couple of days ago, I was throwing out this little theory. I was like, well, what if she can draw people in or draw things in from other realities? And so I think that that's what they're doing here. Now, it might be like what you said, Chris McFeely said on his Transformers channel, where it's just a fun little nod. But I think they're kind of leaving the door open so that they could be oh, we'll take some stuff from the X-Men universe and put it into this.
Yeah, I'm still of the mindset that they can't fully transplant the existing Fox X-Men movies as they are, because 1, there's a gazillion plot holes, and 2, most of those actors have kind of retired from the roles.
Yeah.
you're not going to get two of the bigger old cast members, which would be Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. So, and then arguably you could get back that younger cast from the First Class era. Yeah. But, those movies were, decreasingly popular and lucrative as they went on. So maybe they don't exactly want to fully do that. So I think that they're going to kind of like cut and choose things. And I think that's a lot of it is going to be based around Deadpool because that's what worked the most and needs to be carried over the most. Yeah. And I think that works with that character especially. But it's very possible that, we're also hearing tons of rumors about Spider-Man and who's going to be in the third Spider-Man movie. So it's possible that this is just that same actor playing another version of that character from another universe.
Yeah, it's probably going to be that. It's probably going to be that. Yeah. And Brian, I wanted to point out too, our friend Danny, he just wrote, "Hey guys, I screamed at the end. No spoilers for me. Holy heckins, killing it."
Danny is the king of spoilers. I always yell at him for ruining everything.
Oh, okay. So yeah. And it's kind of embarrassing because I just recorded with Danny like 2 nights ago and I was wearing the same shirt. So like, I promise I actually like bathe and change my clothes and stuff. But yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Anyone else? Thank you for joining us. This is spoiler central though. Like I think it's what you said, like that. Essentially, it's like from another X-Men universe that will have like cherry picked things from the 20th Century Fox movies, and they're just going to like weave it into the MCU. My question for you. Oh, go ahead.
It'll look like the same character, but it'll actually be a different character.
Yeah. So and it's interesting too, right? Because like the Quicksilver that we get introduced to in Days of Future Past, it's during the 80s, right? And so
that's the 70s.
Oh, that's right. Right. Apocalypse is the 80s. That's right. Yeah. That's right. So, like, when he was kind of like, "Hey, can I get a kiss from my sister?" or whatever the fuck he said, like, oh, that's live. But, when he says that, it's like he's like that character from Days of Future Past, and it kind of the timing fit well with the type of sitcom they were doing.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, my question for you though is, do you think that this is going to have like a reverse of No More Mutants, and that like the mutants are going to be in the MCU after this show, or what do you think?
That's a great question. I don't think they can. Could they use? I mean, we're not gonna see all the X-Men characters just show up in everything immediately. It's just that's not gonna happen because they have to logistically cast everybody and figure everything out and plot it all out. And I don't think we're realistically going to see an X-Men movie for a number of years. Yeah. But they'll probably sprinkle in things here and there, and it's possible this is a catalyst for it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it could just be a one-off kind of thing. Okay. So, and I also think that we also, the thing I keep thinking about too is that when I'm trying to figure out what's going on in WandaVision right now, is I'm trying to think of that the next time we see Scarlet Witch is in Doctor Strange 2. And I'm trying to think of how this will connect to that. What are the connective tissues that could bring those two things together? Because there has to be something. They can't just be two totally separate entities without any relation, other than being in a shared universe. So whether that's just alternate realities, or I've seen Mephisto floated around a lot of places. Yeah. It could be anything.
Yeah. Do you think, because like people have said about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they were saying that like Wanda's the villain in it, right? Do you think that maybe it's not that maybe like talking about Mephisto, that like maybe she's like enthralled by him, like maybe he's the one that put her here? Because like one thing I noticed in this episode was they said she was like, "I don't know how this happened." She said something like that towards the end. Did you notice that?
Yes.
The vision turned on her. And so that implies that like, because, okay, I'm kind of like stepping all over myself, but basically one thing that was important in this episode was they established that Wanda broke into a facility and took Vision out, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that she herself could be like being manipulated by like Mephisto or somebody like that? Or is that too much of a stretch?
No, not a stretch at all. I think that the fact that the acting director guy of Sword guy jump to the conclusion that it's totally within everything's being done by her.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see the more, heroic characters that we know. I don't know if heroic is the right word or not, but the characters we know, like Jimmy Woo and Darcy.
Yeah.
They're casting doubt against that. So this is 100% not just Wanda. Something sent her to that facility.
Yeah.
And maybe she's kind of likes what's going on because she gets that you'll be with Vision again.
Yeah.
But there is no way that this is just completely 100% of her own volition.
Yeah. Okay. So then I would kind of lean towards Mephisto, or maybe like we talked in our previous episode, like Agatha Harkness. Like maybe she's kind of.
I'm trying to figure that part out because she clearly is not the same as everyone else there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Agnes. Yeah.
Agnes is not like every other character. Like Vision probably couldn't do that little mind thing that he did with that his coworker.
Yeah.
I don't think that would work. I think there's something else going on there. And I think her little move there, which is like, oh, do you want me to redo that?
Yeah.
That was a calculated move on her part, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
She's trying to do something to show Vision what's going on, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't necessarily think she's bad either.
Right.
But she's more aware of what's going on than anybody else is that we've seen so far.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, because like it could just be that she, like, because of her abilities, is like knowing that it's an illusion around her, and like she's trying to figure out what to do. Maybe she doesn't know how to get out.
Yeah, or maybe she just sees something going on and she knows she can help, or obviously with the comic book relation between those characters, maybe she just wants to help her. And maybe they say that obviously that. Wanda and Pietro's parents were killed in a bombing in this universe.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that this character wasn't still somehow part of their upbringing, and we just haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. Good point, man. Good point. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Like there's that aspect which they played up a lot more in this episode, and then I really like that. Vision started to unravel things, and then he confronted her too. Like I thought that was really good. Like the first two episodes, they followed this formula where it's like a sitcom, and it's like there's a little hint, but it started to really unravel leading up to Quicksilver showing up, and that point where Vision kind of rose up in the air and she rose up in the air. You could really feel the tension, and it was almost like a horror movie. Like it almost could work if you had never seen any of these characters before, and we just established, oh, this is like a superhero horror movie or something. It really felt like that, And
I think one of the little subtle things that I noticed that I really loved about this, especially this episode, and they've done it before too in the previous episodes, but they had that sitcom filter, and then it has evolved as the decades go along there. But in this episode, there are scenes where they're showing a very realistic shot and a very, very clear picture, but you still hear the laugh track in the background.
Yeah.
It melds all together, and I really enjoyed that. I think that really plays up that horror aspect that you just mentioned. Yeah.
And when she makes the credits go up too, that was great.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No, it's like this happy sitcom. Oh, everything's resolved, but no, it's not. It's not, and they're showing that.
Yeah. Did you I see, because when I saw that the X-Men were in it, and you kind of hinted that it's like, oh, maybe it's not that big a deal. Like I just thought, oh, maybe there's like a name in the credits. Like maybe it was going to say like Scott Summers was like a producer or something.
You know what? Maybe we should go back and scroll through those names.
Yeah, I have no idea who the hell. I was looking for names of like, oh, that's this character. I didn't recognize any of the names.
I bet those names are going to be the residents of Westview.
Yeah. Well, like one thing I should point out is that you and I did our video where we talked about the first 3 episodes, and I'm like, I got this theory, I know this, right? And I'm talking about all this stuff, and then like I watched this other video where you sent me that link to the website. I think it was like Nerdist.
I think it was Nerdist, yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, this person is this person. This person is this person. And it's like, oh, man. Like, I felt like I had to turn in my nerd cred, because I didn't know half the characters.
Go ahead. Those are deep cuts. To me, those are deep cuts. And honestly, just because we call ourselves nerds and we feel that way and we identify with it, we even, feel pride in it. We can't know everything. Everyone can't know everything. There is so much out there, and you can only know so much about so many things. So, You know, there are things that I know more about than you do, and there are tons of things that you know more about than me. But you know, we're just equally fans of everything, and you know that should be the end of the story.
Yeah, hell yeah, man, that's positive. Yeah, like for instance, like I think that they draw a lot of stuff from the Avengers back category, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize that like the Avengers weren't always this cool, right? Like the Avengers, they've only really become cool like maybe in the decade before the Marvel movies, and like just in the early 2000s up until now. Otherwise, like
and that's because they added the biggest characters in the Marvel universe to the team. I mean, that's really what it was.
Yeah. Hey, you know, since we have these people and we're live and we're just holding them hostage, there's at least 3 of them right there. Why don't we tell them why? See, like the thing about Wanda, right, is that when the Avengers were kind of lame in the comics and nobody was reading their books, she had a nervous breakdown, right? And that's kind of similar to what's going on here, where, you know, her emotions are affecting reality. So they had this event called Avengers Disassembled, which was written by Brian Michael Bendis, and basically, like Wanda just made all these Avengers enemies show up and attack all the Avengers, and they killed a couple of characters. Hawkeye got killed, and
actually, Scott Ant-Man got killed as well.
Oh, okay. Ant-Man got killed too. I think didn't like Vision get like ripped in half too, in that by She-Hulk?
Man, it's been a while since I read it. Yeah, I mean, as the name implies, the team was over.
Yeah, literally disassembled in the Vision's case. And that was back in the day when Brian and I were just strapping young 20-something-year-old men. We didn't have children, you know.
We couldn't even afford our own comics. We had to borrow them from the bookstore we worked at.
Yes. We borrowed the trades from the bookstore. Yeah, absolutely. And we used to drive Jim Hanley's. Shout out to Jim Hanley's. But anyway, in Avengers Disassembled, Wanda she has a nervous breakdown, and these enemies just rip apart the Avengers. And then what happens is what Brian mentioned before, is that they rebuild the Avengers team. But check out this lineup for this Avengers team. It had Wolverine, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. So it had like the 3 core Avengers people.
Wait a minute. Was Thor on the team?
Nah, Thor's dead, man.
Thor might have been dead. Yeah, Thor might have been dead.
Yeah, he came back eventually. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It was Cap and Iron Man were on there too. And so like that's when the Avengers became like real big in comics. And then once Iron Man hit and they were building towards the MCU, like the Avengers have been the main moneymaker. And for Marvel before then, Spider-Man and the X-Men were like the main moneymakers, like when we were kids, and even before then. Oh, go ahead.
Spider-Woman and Sentry were also on the team.
Yes, that's right. That's when I started getting to Spider-Woman too. She was awesome, man.
Yes.
Her new costume sucks though now. Sorry.
No, didn't she go back to her new one? Her old one again?
Oh,
She's
I hope
back
so.
in the classic red and yellow costume again.
Okay, I hope so. Good. Sorry, creators of that costume. But anyway, so like now, the world that we're living in now, you know, everyone loves the Avengers. You know, I see kids with Avengers stuff all over the place, and everyone likes it. Some people like them more than the X-Men or Spider-Man. But like, there's this time period that we aren't that familiar with because it's when the Avengers weren't that big. And so you have all these characters that like we don't even know, and yet we know so much about comics, right?
Yeah.
It's just like a little blind spot, I feel. Like that,
Yeah.
and like, oh, go ahead.
I don't know what you read when you were a kid, like before we even knew each other, but I mean, I had a bunch of Captain America comics. Like I had, and I've been.
Really? Did you have one where he's a werewolf?
No, not when he's a werewolf, but I had a couple crossovers. I had like the Korvac Quest crossover. Believe it or not, I actually had a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy back then too, like with that old.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But like back then, I thought Iron Man was lame. I thought. I mean, like I'm like Thor. I'm like, I don't know. This is kind of weird. And but like, I did love Captain America back then.
Hell yeah. Iron Man was kind of lame when we were kids. You know, he like Robert Downey Jr. established what Iron Man is now in the comics and in other media. He wasn't like that.
Yeah. So almost, I don't want to say a totally different character, but it's a fairly different take than I ever pictured him before. But it worked extremely well for that movie.
It's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. So was there anything else that you wanted to talk about with the show? Or I actually have one thing too, but go ahead.
No, go. You go first.
So one thing I really liked, I don't know if you noticed, you definitely noticed this though, but like when they talk about Wanda taking on Thanos, Jimmy Woo was like, "Oh, Captain Marvel was awesome too, right?"
Yeah,
And
that was
then
a nice little drop.
yeah, and then Monica Rambeau kind of made this face like, "Don't talk about her," right? She even like literally said, "Well, we're talking about Wanda." So there's like some kind of bad blood between her and Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go back and rewatch Captain Marvel because I think I only watched it twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while, but I can't imagine what that could be. I mean, is it just that she left and that was it, sort of? I don't know.
Yeah, well, because think about it, right? Time-wise, Captain Marvel's gone from the 90s, and Monica Rambeau's a little kid. And then when she comes back, it's after the snap. And we know from the last episode that Monica Rambeau disappeared. So they didn't interact.
And Maria had passed away as well.
Yeah, the mom passed away, yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it could just be like an abandonment thing, possibly.
Probably.
Or it could be just some general foreshadowing what they're going to do with the character later on.
Yeah. We'll see. Just for anyone who doesn't know, Monica Rambeau ends up getting powers of her own. Spoilers. So it's always fun when people say spoilers after they say the thing they're spoiling, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh, thanks for telling me before.
Yeah. But here's another thing too I wanted to talk about was in the previous episode, since we didn't cover it, I really love that scene where the people were coming back from the snap. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was like that was powerful, honestly.
Yeah.
And it took me a second to register what was going on, but it's like when you did, it's like, wow, that's one of the few instances we have seen because really it was more of an afterthought. It was just like in Spider-Man Homecoming. It's just like, oh, it happened, so you don't really ever see it getting undone.
Yeah.
So watching it and seeing all that panic and I mean, just thinking about that is crazy. I mean, that's got to be a very emotionally distressing experience for people that were returning and weren't and didn't go away.
Yeah. It's just so well done because like in the Spider-Man sequel, they make it seem like they just pop back up, and it's no big deal. But yeah, you're right. It was like disturbing to have them come back.
Also, how convenient was it that the one nurse that was there 5 years before is still in that same shift 5 years later?
Yeah, it's a little bit of plot contrivance there, right? Yeah, so I don't know. That's pretty much all I got for WandaVision so far. What about you, man?
Two quick things. I mean, we really didn't mention anything about the kids and them aging themselves.
Oh yeah.
I don't really need to know if I need to bring it up. I mean, I don't see a meaning behind that, but it kind of makes me feel like they're gonna age themselves more, and they're gonna eventually be Speed and Wiccan, or what's his other name? I forgot his other name.
Well, when he first comes out, he's Asgardian, but he is
Asgardian. That's right. Yes, I wish I could tell. But I don't think we'll see whoever they cast yet. I think it'll just be implied. And then the other thing we have to mention too is, I guess it's a minor detail, or maybe not, that they start mentioning hex, the word hex, a lot.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of hexes before, and Wanda's powers were prior to how they kind of changed it in the comics, was referenced as hex magic.
That's right. That's right.
Doctor Strange basically came and said, "There's no such thing as that."
Yeah.
And then we find out, and then they kind of evolved her powers to be this completely different thing.
Yeah.
So is that a nod to just the past, or do you need to read into the six sides of it and Mephisto? I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch to me, I think.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because I mean, there are a lot of hexes. Like in the credits, you see them projected all over the place, and we've seen it in several episodes. The space around the town is the hexagon.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's interesting to think that her having this type of magic is because of Mephisto. That'd be interesting if it was almost like a Brand New Day kind of twist. Even though everyone hates Brand New Day, it's like almost they used it for some reason in this, Just for those of you guys that don't know comics, or here's some gatekeeping, here's some mansplaining. Basically, Spider-Man revealed his identity to the whole world at one point, and Marvel didn't know how to fix that. Oh, and at the same time, they wanted to get rid of Peter Parker and Mary Jane's wedding because they were married for a time in the comics. And so Aunt May gets.
Uh-oh. Am I frozen? Uh-oh, I dropped off.
And this is me talking by myself. Sorry, Brian. He probably signed up. Anyway, Brian and I do the show Ramblings from the Rob Pod. We usually talk about Transformers. We did a episode with Transformers Earthrise where we covered that whole Netflix series. So I'm going to edit that and put that up soon. On the Lastercast channel today, me and Sherry and Danny and Athena are going to record The Stand, like episode 8, which was a doozy. We're going to cover that one. And finally, last but not least, if you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube, last but not least, on the Lastercast channel, me, Chris, Danny, Tony, and Lori from the Ghost Girl Greetings, we did, I say a lot when it's live. I can't edit it out. We did a show about love in horror movies, relationships in horror movies. It's called Love and Horror. I'm editing that right now. That's going to go up on the Lastercast channel probably within the next 2 days. So you got The Stand, you got Love and Horror, and Sherry and I have some more content coming from Anchor Pete too. So make sure you like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook watching this, go over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. You know me. Support me. Come on. We're friends, aren't we? Or like relatives? Come on. I need subscribers. I have 90 something. I want 100. Give me 100. I love you. But I'm embarrassing myself in my garage. Okay, I'll see you later.